Hello, today we are going to see ordinal utility theory. Allen and Hicks developed this theory. Actually, it is Edgeworth, the economist Edgeworth, who laid the basis of ordinal utility theory, and it is developed by Allen and Hicks. And according to cardinal utility, utility is measurable, but Allen and Hicks severely criticized cardinal utility theory. According to them, a consumer cannot measure his utility. A consumer can only rank his preferences. If bundle of commodities are given, from that they can rank their preference. And the basic tool of ordinal utility theory is indifference curve, which is derived from a table indifference schedule. So indifference schedule, it shows the alternative combinations of two goods from which consumer makes the choices according to his budget constraint. That means he can only choose, he can prefer, he can rank his preferences. If 3 bundles are given, one bundle contains 1 unit of orange, 12 units of apple. Another bundle, 2 units of apple and 10 units of orange. He can choose between these 2 bundles, which one he prefers, but he cannot measure the utility. That is what ordinal utility says. And in an indifference schedule, which shows alternative combinations of 2 goods from which the consumer makes choices, from this schedule we draw the indifference curve. So indifference curve is a graphical representation of the alternative combinations of 2 goods from which the consumer makes the choices, and all these bundles gives him the same level of satisfaction. That is what we are going to see in ordinal utility theory. And what are the assumptions of this ordinal utility theory, which says that consumer can rank his scale of preferences? What are the assumptions? The first assumption is that the consumer is rational. A rational consumer. What about him? He wants to derive maximum satisfaction. How can he derive maximum satisfaction? And for that, he sure will choose those bundles which gives him the highest satisfaction, and accordingly he will rank the preferences. And second assumption is that more of a good is better. That means if 2 commodities are given to the consumer, he will prefer more of both the commodities, or more of at least one commodity and not less of the other. If 2 bundles are given, 3 units of apple, 10 units of orange, 3 units of apple and 8 units of orange, he will prefer 3-10 combination, because though the amount of good, one good is say 3-10, 3-8, from that he will select 3-10, 3 units of apple, 10 units of oranges, because it contains more of both the goods and not less of the other. Okay, so this preference is called monotonic preferences. That is one assumption. We will see in detail one by one. And another assumption is that diminishing marginal rate of substitution. A consumer is substituting one good for the other, and while substituting this, the amount of goods sacrificed in order to gain one more unit of the other good, that is decreasing. So this also we will see. So 3 assumptions are: consumer is rational who wants maximum satisfaction, and second thing is that more of a consumer, he prefers more of both the goods, or more of at least one good and not less of the other good. That means he will not prefer 0, 1 or 0, 0 or 1 0 those bundles, because 0 means he is not preferring any of the commodity. He will not prefer such a bundle given his income and price of the commodity. Actually, to preference means he can prefer any bundle. The actual purchase depends on the level of income. Then third assumption is diminishing marginal rate of substitution. One by one, point wise, we will see how the consumer rank his preferences. Imagine there are two consumers, consumer 1, consumer 2, and there are two food items given here, pizza, burger. See, I have selected two food items. It can be anything. It can be food, clothing, anything we use in our daily life. And for convenience, two commodities are taken. In indifference curve and indifference schedule also, according to ordinal utility theory, they are selecting two commodities. So here, two commodities are given. So consumer 1 will prefer pizza. That is his first preference. Second only burger. But according to consumer 2, this is the first preference and this one is the second preference. So this way, the preference of the consumer differ from consumer to consumer, person to person. But these consumers cannot say how much is the utility derived by consuming these commodities, or how much is the satisfaction, how much is the preference. It is not possible. So ordinal utility theory says that utility cannot be measured in quantitative terms. We can only rank the preferences or scale of preferences. Ordinal utility says that a consumer can only rank his scale of preferences. Another example, if there are two commodities, apple, orange, we will name it X and Y, apple and orange, and I will write here a few bundles. So, first bundle contains 0 units of apple, 1 unit of orange. Second bundle, 1 unit of apple, 1 unit of orange. 2 units of apple, 1 unit of orange. 3 units of apple, 2 units of orange. Then 4, 3, 5, 4. Which one the consumer will prefer? So, how will he rank his preferences? He may rank his preferences. Here, this bundle, 5 units of apple and 4 units of orange. This one, because it contains more of both the commodities. From these bundles, he will prefer 5, 4 because it contains more of both the goods. Okay. Now, another example. 3 units of apple, 6 units of orange. 3 units of apple, 7 units of orange. 3 units of apple, 9 units of orange. Which one he will prefer? He will prefer 3, 9 because it contains more of the Y good, orange. Though the X commodity apple remains the same, it contains more of Y commodity. This is called monotonic preferences. So what is monotonic preferences? From the given combination of commodities, from the given combinations of commodities, two commodities, the consumer will prefer those bundles which more of both the goods or more of at least one good and not less of the other. Okay, not less of the other. So, this is monotonic preferences of the consumer. So, according to ordinal utility theory, a consumer's utility So that cannot be measured, but he can only rank his preferences. So how the consumer rank his preferences? I have already explained. Now see, an indifference schedule is given which shows the alternative combinations of two commodities, good X and Y, and 5 combinations are here. Bundle A, 1 unit of good X and 18 units of good Y. Next bundle B, 2 units of good X and 12 units of good Y. Next bundle C, 3 units of good X and 8 units of good Y. Then 4, 5 and 5, 3. These are the combinations given. According to ordinal utility theory, a consumer will consider all these bundles as the bundles giving him the equal satisfaction. Okay, so he may choose whatever bundles he choose. That is, he will prefer sometimes B to A. He may prefer B to A. Okay, or C to B. Or we can say he may prefer A to B and B bundle to C. Then ordinal utility theory says that then he will prefer A to C also. Okay, so any bundle he will prefer, A to B or B to C, C to D, so that because all the bundles give him the same level of satisfaction. When this is graphically presented, we get an indifference curve. So all the bundles on the indifference curve give the consumer the equal level of satisfaction. So that is the main assumption of indifference curve theory. This I have given in the PPT. Kindly go through it carefully. So according to ordinal utility theory, all the bundles on the indifference curve, because indifference curve is the basic tool of ordinal utility theory, and all the bundles on the indifference curve gives the consumer same level of satisfaction. Now I will give you another example. So you can see indifference schedule 1 here, and here indifference schedule 2. Among these two tables, among these two combinations of bundles, which one the consumer will prefer? Consumer will prefer this indifference schedule. The bundles given in these combinations will be preferred. Why? What is the reason? It contains more of X and Y. So higher the level of satisfaction, higher level of satisfaction to the consumer is attained when he prefers more of both the goods, when he consumes more of both the goods. But he cannot say how much is the utility derived from consuming more units of both the goods. So that is ordinal utility theory. So, among the given bundles, the consumer may prefer A to B or B to C, and if he is preferring A to B, B to C, he will prefer A to C. That is ordinal utility theory, and it is called transitivity. Okay, and transitivity, what is transitivity? Transitivity means the consumer has consistent ranking of preferences. His ranking of preferences is consistent. So point of satiety won't be reached. We have seen in cardinal utility theory, maximum satisfaction is attained when total utility maximum, marginal utility is 0. So that is point of satiety. That won't be reached because he is consistent in preferring the bundles. And he won't prefer a bundle with a 0 amount of one good and less of the other good. So the point of satiety won't be reached here. He will try to increase his total utility by consuming or preferring more and more. So total utility maximum when he consumes more of both the goods. Okay. So the transitivity is in the ordinal utility theory. What is transitivity? Consistent ranking of preferences, and it is assumed that the consumer's tastes and preferences of the consumer remain constant. So next assumption is completeness. Completeness means a consumer is fully capable of ranking the preferences. He knows what are the market situations and the price of the commodity is income. So he is fully capable of ranking the preferences from the given alternative bundles of commodities. Okay. And as you know, the consumer's preferences will be many for varied commodities. We have already discussed the point, what all are the necessities in life, what all things will be required by a consumer. So it can be anything he prefers. And for convenience sake only, we are selecting it as good X, good Y, or two commodities are selected in the ordinal utility theory. Okay. Now, another assumption is the diminishing MRS, marginal rate of substitution. In order to consume one good, the consumption, in order to consume one more unit of a commodity, the consumption of the other commodity is sacrificed. So, from the given bundles, he may prefer A or B, C, D, E. All the bundles give him the same level of satisfaction. But if he is preferring the bundle A, that is 118, if he wants to increase the consumption, he may prefer bundle D. So for that, what will he do? He will sacrifice here 6 units of Y. And what happens here? In order to consume one more unit of the commodity good X, he will sacrifice 4 units of Y. Here 6 units sacrificed. Here 12 to 8. 4 units sacrificed. 8 to 5. 3 units sacrificed. And here 2 units. So 6, 4, 3, 2. The sacrifice of the Y commodity, it comes down. What is the reason? Here the marginal utility, law of diminishing marginal utility functions here. What is it? That we have already seen. The consumption increases from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 of X commodity. When the consumption of one commodity increases, the satisfaction derived from that commodity decreases. Ordinal utility says it happens, whether it is in cardinal utility or ordinal utility. When a consumer consumes more and more unit of a commodity, the satisfaction, the utility derived from that commodity decreases. The ordinal utility says that it is not measurable. Cardinal utility says that it is measurable. That is the only difference. So, when the consumer is having more and more units of a good, the satisfaction derived from that decreases. So, what will he do? First, he thinks only 1 unit of X and 18 units of good Y. Okay, now I will consume 1 more unit of good X. So that what is to be sacrificed? The consumption of Y commodity is to be sacrificed. First, he is sacrificing 6 units of orange. Let it be apple. And this one be orange. So he sacrifices 6 units of orange and consumes 1 more unit of apple. Now, he is sacrificing 4 units of orange and consuming 1 more unit of apple. Next, he sacrifices 3 units of orange and consumes 1 more unit. So here you can see the sacrifice goes on decreasing. First of all 6 units sacrifice, then 4, then 3, then 2. What can be the reason? Because the satisfaction derived from the other commodity decreases according to law of diminishing marginal utility, the consumer feels, why should I sacrifice this much of good buy? Because I am attaining satisfaction from consuming good X. So why should I sacrifice this much of good buy? So the sacrifice comes down. So this is called diminishing MRS. This we will see in detail. Marginal rate of substitution in the next point. Okay. So what are the assumptions of ordinal utility theory? That is completeness. Consumer is fully aware of the or fully capable of ranking the preferences. Then transitivity. What is transitivity? Consistent ranking of preferences. That is, if consumer is preferring bundle A to B, B to C, he may prefer A to C. Consistent ranking of preferences, so that he gets equal satisfaction from all the bundles, and he is also indifferent. He is indifferent because whatever bundles he uses, all give him the equal level of satisfaction. So he doesn't bother which bundle he uses. So he is indifferent, and his preferences are ranked only, not measured. So transitivity, completeness. Consumer is fully capable of ranking the preferences. Then more of a good is preferred, or more of one good and not less of the other. So that he will get maximum utility, total utility will be higher. Then his tastes and preferences remaining the same. Another assumption is diminishing marginal rate of substitution that we have seen. Okay. So regarding this point, more of a good and not less of the other is preferred by the consumer, so that his total utility is maximum. Here, kindly keep it in mind that there are many goods in the market which are harmful to the consumer, to his health, mental and physical health. There are many goods. These goods are not taken here. In ordinal utility theory or any economic theory, only standard goods are taken for reference.
Next, I will explain what are the properties of indifference curve. After that, what is budget line, budget set. Then by using budget line and indifference curve, how consumer's equilibrium is determined also will be explained. And that will be the last part of this chapter. Thank you.